Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Wyatt Powell appears by and through counsel Riley W. Baber. Mr. Powell does appear in person via Zoom conferencing. I will say that the
Well, let
victim
me
is
find him because I'm not seeing him, but he could be there. Mr. Strammel, if you could keep your camera from turning circles and keep it
I'm
staying
sorry.
there, that'd be, it's all right. I'd appreciate it. But where is
Trying
Mr.
to work
Powell?
as well.
Mr. Powell?
he's
Wyatt
in
Powell.
he's in his vehicle. He may speak up if he
Okay, Wyatt Powell, I do see you now in the light brown t-shirt. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, and we can hear you.
and
You're here because you've been charged in May 26th of 24 with domestic battery and criminal damage to property. And you had your first appearance back May 24th before Judge Crum. Said you were going to hire your attorney, which you did, and you've made your bond.
Hey, Ray, I'm gonna go sit in your truck.
Can you, Mr. Strammel, you need to mute also, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. I only have like 4% battery power, so
Well, okay, maybe you can go in and charge it or something. At this time, we're still on the record in Powell. And June 3rd, I do see a motion to modify bond conditions was filed, or well, actually, it was set for today, June 3rd. It was filed May 31st. So, Mr. Regier, have you seen that motion?
Your Honor, I do appear to be in receipt of the motion as filed by the court. Looks like on March 31st of this year, Your Honor.
I believe you meant May 31st, 11:59, perhaps?
Yes, Your Honor. Forgive me for misspeaking.
I do it all the time, so thank you for making me feel less ancient that young folks can do that too. So motion to modify bonds you've received, but you probably haven't had much time in 4 working hours to respond. Do you by chance have a response? It looks like he's asking to, the defendant is asking to have contact with the listed victim, his wife, Caitlin Nicholson. Is Miss Nicholson present?
She is, Your Honor.
Yes, I am.
Okay, where are you? I don't see anyone that. Okay, you're Caitlin Nicholson?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I have not seen this motion. I'll guarantee you that until now. It says that Caitlin Nicholson wants to have contact with the defendant, her husband. She is not in fear of him and wishes to resume her relationship as the case is pending. The parents or the parties share parenting duties. Defendant is primary residential custody. They need contact to allow for arrangement of transportation of the children from daycare, school, doctors, dental, and other acts for which they are responsible. A recent death in the family has made lifting the contact order an emergent situation. Does that pretty much summarize, Mr. Baber, your motion?
It does, Your Honor. Yes. And just to kind of clarify the death, the family, it is Miss Nicholson's mother, who passed away. I believe she passed away Thursday evening. And that would have been after this all occurred. So that's kind of a complicating factor. She's in charge of making arrangements and things like that. So she's kind of in charge of doing the parenting stuff and everything else, plus dealing with that right now. So that's one of the big issues as well.
So up till this alleged domestic battery on May 26th, which was just barely over a week ago, it sounds like, do I understand your motion correctly that the defendant had primary custody of these children?
Correct, Your Honor. Yes.
Okay, and the alleged victim had some type of parenting time with the children.
Well, I want to be very clear here, Judge. We're talking about actually, Mr. Powell it's a relationship with prior it's a prior relationship for which this minor child was born, but he does have primary residential custody, and it's complicating the issues because he has the child basically all of the time, and he has to go to work. He has to do things like that. And Miss Nicholson certainly does the vast majority, or not the vast majority, but assists a lot in helping with the minor child get to and from school, daycare, things like that, while he's working. And she's got this issue to deal with on top of that. So that's really, I guess, I just want to clarify that issue.
Okay. Until this domestic violence charge, did the alleged victim live in the home with the defendant and the child?
Yes, Judge.
And are there any custody orders in a domestic case concerning the child?
There are, but not between these two. But yes.
Who is the child to be with them?
Well, primarily with almost all that Mr. Powell has, he's primary residential custodian. He has the vast majority of the parenting time. I believe the other party has every other weekend. And so that's the issue. So he is primary residential. The minor child lives with Mr. Powell and Miss Nicholson in the home together, as that's the minor child's primary residence. And so the minor child has been displaced from the primary residence, as has Mr. Powell. And they're just, really, and then the death in the family has really complicated issues. So those are the issues we're dealing with, Judge.
All right. So rather than seeking a modification of temporary custody, the mother chose to stay in the home and send the child with the father.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Regier, again, I don't expect you to have had much time to respond to this motion, as has the court, but what is your position at this time?
Your Honor, the court is correct in that the state, at least I personally have not had sufficient opportunity to respond to this motion, but the state would respectfully suggest lifting the no contact order in this matter as set forth on the bond would not be appropriate, and the state does have significant concerns pursuant to paragraphs 6, 7, and 8 of the affidavit. The paragraph 6 would appear to refer to concerns on behalf of the victim with on the issue of a minor child, as well as possible issues of intoxication. Paragraph 7 of the affidavit does appear to detail, or rather allege, an incident where the defendant threw the victim to the ground several times. And in paragraph 8 of the affidavit, it would appear to allege that the defendant during the incident dislodged the dining room table, as well as damaged other property on the premises. So with all that being said, the state's position is that the prior bond conditions as set forth on the appearance bond and as ordered by Judge Crum in this matter should continue.
For the reasons cited by Mr. Regier and others, I'm following along in the affidavit to which he refers, dated May 27, 2024 by Deputy Luke Grimes of the Butler County Sheriff's Office. I am going to deny the motion to modify bond, and further, I am going to direct that law enforcement meet with DCF and see if this child is safe in the custody of the defendant, with the allegations of the child being in the home when the alleged crime took place, the allegation that the defendant has some alcohol issues, or at least did on one occasion, and why the mother would leave the child with him. According to the affidavit, I think the child is with the grandmother when this happened, and so the child would have been turned over to the defendant. I'm not making any judgments about the safety of the child or the appropriateness of the child, but I do feel with the allegations that DCF and law enforcement need to just check into that and make sure this child is safe. And Mr. Regier, if you could, if someone in your office could, or the clerk's office both, could just pass that on to Deb Meyer at the El Dorado DCF. I believe she is their one of their primary investigators into child safety. So that is the order of the court at this time. Is there anything further?
Judge, would you like to hear from the victim at all? She wants
I
contact.
would, you're right. And she does have the right to be heard. And I'm sorry, tell me your last name again.
Nicholson.
Thank you, Miss Nicholson. I certainly do want to hear with you. I'm very sorry that you're in the situation with your mother's passing. That must be difficult. And with your child apparently not living with you in your home, although that may or may not be by your choice. But I would like to hear from you. You have every right to be heard.
I think there was miscommunication between the officers and me. There was no throwing around at all. It was more of he didn't want me to leave the house because I was upset with our youngest child. And he was just trying to refrain me from leaving the house. He did not put hands on me.
So how many children do you have with this gentleman?
We have one together, and I had one prior to our relationship, and he had one prior to our relationship.
So there were 3 children in the household at the time?
No, just our youngest together.
But 3 within the family then?
Yes, ma'am.
And how old are the other 2 children?
5 and 3.
5 and 3. And so this had nothing to do with what the officer reported, the 2 of you getting into a disagreement about his female contacts on social media, or him being known to, I think, what did that say? To sleep around. It didn't have anything to do with that. That's not part of the allegations or the history of the relationship.
No, ma'am.
All right. Again, Mr. Regier, if you could please have law enforcement and DCF check on the state of those other 3 children under the circumstances.
I will put a note in the file, Your Honor.
Thank you. And I'm ordering both parents to cooperate with the investigation. Hopefully they're totally safe and can remain in whatever their placements are, but I feel like I have a duty to the children to make sure that they are safe with the arrangements the 2 of you have made. But again, today's motion is denied. Anything else you have concerns with, perhaps you can address with the county attorney or whoever they designate you to, Ms. Nicholson, I'm sorry. All right, we are in recess. Everyone on this case is excused at this time.